Hey, Michael.
Jeroen,
Hey,
always a delight.
how's it going?
So good. Um, we're, I think it's relevant to say we're like 6 hours apart. I'm having a beautiful morning and you're
I'm about to have a
just,
beautiful weekend. It's
yeah,
Friday afternoon here.
yeah, nice. Um, and we're about to analyze some data. Is that,
That's the goal. That's the plan. Yeah.
uh, uh,
So let's. I just want to introduce you very quickly so that people know who you are. For the very few who don't yet know who you are, you're Michael
cool.
Chow. You're a open source developer at Posit,
Yeah,
known, for example, for the Great Tables package, among other things, right?
yeah, yeah. And you're to also send it back. You're Jeroen,
That's right.
uh, author of Data Science on the Command Line. Is that
Yep.
like which I find to be one of the most intriguing data science books about how you can use the command line to slice and dice data. And more recently, Python Polars. I always call it just the Python Polars book.
Yeah.
What's the
the,
what's the full name?
the official title is Python Polar's The Definitive Guide,
Yeah,
but that's indeed
incredible.
quite a mouthful.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm such a big fan of your like Polars work. I know we've done like a plotting workshop
Yep.
together with Plotnine. So I'm excited to be able to do a little bit like a low key data analysis with you.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'm also a little bit terrified because people will find out that it's one thing to write a book about polars and another another thing to be actually working with it and to put it to practice and
Yeah,
but it's always a joy working together with you. That's why we're doing this together, right? And
yeah.
I would
I
say let's do it.
get into it. Yeah,
what
I
what
feel
kind of
like
data? Yeah, can you tell a little bit
yeah,
what kind of data is are we using? um
yeah. So I think for background, we're getting into the PyD Tuesday data. Is that right?
that's
And
right.
this is
Shall I share my screen?
yeah, let's do it.
All right,
This
so
is a data set on API specs. Is that right? And maybe for some background, PydyTuesday is a thing where every week they upload data from a different data set for people to analyze. And it's like, I guess it's an opportunity for people in the Python community to sort of see what it looks like to analyze real data and to share out basically what they did. So you can see what people did with real data and see how people are analyzing data or try it yourself and share out results.
absolutely, it's been going on for a while under the name Tidy Tuesday for the R community, right? And then tidy, I guess. Well, on the one hand, because we'll see how tidy the data actually is, or whether we actually need to tidy it up. But what I think is that it comes from the tidyverse,
Yeah.
and I guess it sounds like kind of cool when you combine it with Tuesday. Um,
Yeah.
and we just, I mean, and the Piety Tuesday project, yeah, is a derivative of that for the Python community,
Right. For the PyDverse.
for the Pityverse. Yeah, that's
Um,
yeah.
yeah. I think this will be great though, because I think what I love about it is like I feel like the Python Polars book is such a great kind of uh lesson on polars. But I feel like now it's as if we read like a book on birds, like how to identify birds. And now we're going on like a bird walk with you.
Yes, yeah. The
So
correct term for that is birding.
yeah, we're birding. I'm excited
That's
to
a
see
great
what.
movie too. Um, I think it's called Birding. I'll look it up. We'll
Check
put a
it.
link in the show notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So no, I'm currently on the GitHub repo for PyD Tuesday,
Mhm.
um, and it has. some instructions on how to get the data. And you already mentioned it's a, well, we know this week it's a data set about APIs, right? Very meta.
Yeah.
But we haven't looked at the data yet whatsoever. We're both going in this, fresh, right?
Yeah. So let's see. Do you want me to kind of just start trying to navigate us? And I think you'll drive. Is that right?
I'm driving. You're
All
doing all
right.
the thinking.
Yeah.
And so
Into it.
so to get here, what I just did, I Googled for PydyTuesday, right?
Yeah.
PYDY Tuesday. Then I got here. And so this has instructions on how to get the data. Now, I already noticed here that we can use UV for this.
Mm.
So let's just do that. Let's get the
Cool.
data and then have a look at what we actually have. Sounds good?
Love that. Yeah,
All right.
sounds great.
All right. I have to use the command line for this.
Yeah.
I have to.
I mean, you can't, renowned data science command line author Jeroen Janssens we can't go without command line,
I have to. It is
Taste.
yeah. So it's an empty it's just an empty directory right here. I didn't clone this repo or anything. We can just start using the tool from the command line. Now, for this, we can use UV. There are other ways to do this, to invoke this tool, but this way you don't even have to install it. So the tool is called PydyTuesday. It has a subcommand tt-download, and it takes one argument, which is the date. And I know that the last Tuesday was June 17th, right?
Yeah, nice. And did you have to do UV add before this? Or is it?
No. All I
Yeah,
have is I have installed UV, and that's it.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah, I had no idea about that. That's cool.
yeah. Let's see what happens if I press enter. Yeah, it installed some packages. UV is blazingly fast, just like Polars. And so let's have a look here at what we have. Okay, we got a bunch of CSV files, a ping file, and a YAML file. Now let's put those in a subdirectory, right? That's perhaps nicer. So I'll create a subdirectory called data, and then I'll move everything into the data directory.
Oh, wow. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So that's it. That's always the first step, I guess. And now the question is, how do we proceed? What do we want to use?
One thing I often do is I crack open. So I feel like two things. We might open like an IDE or and then maybe peek at the PydyTuesday README on GitHub, which usually has some nice descriptions of the data just to get a feel for kind of what's there.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you go ahead and look up the documentation, it might not be in this repo, but if you go to PydyTuesday, so the R variant of this,
got it cracked open
because the actual data sets, I believe, are now similar.
Oh, cool.
What do you have? You sent me something?
Yeah, I cracked open the PydyTuesday link with the table.
Oh, there you go.
So
API specs.
Yeah.
So I mean, the instructions here are all for when you're using R. But it does have a data dictionary. Let's see here.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so...
Right. So this week we're exploring web APIs. The lead volunteer for PydyTuesday, John Harmon, is writing a book. Hey, That's nice. About working with web APIs with R, as well as a series of R packages to make it easier to create API wrapping R packages, right? Okay, and he's going to give a talk. Let's see here. So here are some questions that we may ask the data, right? What API specs are provided? How many different APIs do providers provide? What licenses? Are there any APIs listed more than once in a data set?
Yeah, this is great.
All right, those are some good questions to start off with, and I'm sure that we'll be able to come up with others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
5.
do feel like something like the first question, just like what API specs are provided, is kind of a nice starting point because we can, it looks like there's tables describing each CSV. So it could be nice just to try to answer that question to help us kind of route through the data a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It also has instructions for how to do this in Julia.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so here we go. Five CSV files.
Mhm.
And I believe what they all have in common is the name of how APIs.guru, right? Because this comes from APIs guru,
Yeah. And it
kind
looks
of a
like
meta
API,
API.
yeah, it looks like API origins has the spec maybe in the format column.
The format viewer, if available. The path to
So
the
I wonder if
original API.
that's
Yeah, I guess this will link to yet another file if we wanted to, right? So to some URL.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
This might be a little bit too deep, a bit too detailed for our purposes. I think everything else is probably already in here. We could have a look at one of them, of course.
Yeah.
Want to do
Yeah, I
that?
wonder if we're trying to figure out the API specs provided, if it's something like counting format in API origins might give us like a count of the specs.
Yeah, of which format they're using, right?
Yeah.
Because it's these are the possible formats.
Yeah. So maybe we could try cracking it open and counting the format in API origins. What do you think of that?
I think that's a good start, just to get a little bit warmed up.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it.
Okay, so I'm in here. Oh wait, that should work. Let's see here. There we go. It just opened up Positron, right? A new IDE created by Posit, and it supports both R and Python. So we're obviously going to use Python for this.
Yeah,
Let
cool.
me see here. Yes. So here's the data. We have here our Python console. Let's create a new file.
And I'm noticing Positron, I think it picked up a virtual environment,
It
probably
did.
via a init. You probably ran UV init to start, is that right? Or UV venv.
Maybe. Okay, so I cheated a little bit before we started recording, and I just wanted to make sure that everything was working. Let me get rid of that virtual environment.
Yeah, either way, I just figured it'd be good to.
Right, it's a hidden directory .vamp where your virtual environment is defined. Now I have nothing, and so this doesn't even work right now. Let's stop this this session right here. If I do start session, it says this, it's suggesting this.
Yeah, it might just be
but
added.
This list is not has not yet updated. So I just deleted that virtual environment. Let's go ahead And
Yeah.
yeah, so I'll do uv pip install polars all. Want to do Plotnine as well? Might
Yeah, I'm into it.
as well start with that. Okay, yeah. I always forget to do this. uv venv to initialize the virtual environment, or to actually create it.
Yeah.
uv pip
Nice, it
install.
gives a pretty it's nice it gives a pretty friendly air too, like exactly what to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, and it's really fast. So now we have wait.
A.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
trying to show everything. Right, or here we are. So now we have again this .venv directory, and so if we're now going to start a session, okay, so that worked, right? So those were the steps that I took to create a virtual
Yeah.
environment. Now, are you okay with just using a regular Python file?
Yeah, like a
Just
yeah,
just a Python file.
with like the comment percent. Is that, have you seen the percent format?
Oh, is that from Jupytext that you're thinking of?
Yeah, but it's got good IDE support, I think. Like if you do comment percent, it'll
Right.
let you.
That's cool too. And we can also use the Quarto markdown file if you
Yeah,
like to have like chunks, code chunks and markdown text in between.
yeah,
But what I really like um, is what I like. One of the things that Positron does is allows you to run your Python code line by line. So
yeah,
you can just start in a regular text file and
yeah,
execute as you go, and you'll see when you execute a single line or multiple lines, they'll be sent to the console, and it's very much like what if you're used to RStudio, right? That's also
yeah,
a similar workflow.
yeah. Let's do it.
We could start with that, and if we later want to turn this into something more elaborate, we can always do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great. I think however you want to do it's perfect.
So let's do. Let's just start. Let's start by importing polars.
Yeah, cool.
You see, I just pressed Command Enter on my Mac, and then it sends
Yeah,
that line down here.
yeah, nice.
Now, you may see these squigglies every now and then and suggestions, and that's just the IDE trying to be helpful. Um, we'll see how that goes. All right. So you said
Yeah, let's get
which file?
the
Which file was it
like
again?
API origins and try counting the format column.
API. It's in data. API. I just press
Nice.
tab. Origins. Origins. Let's save this to a variable right there. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
No errors. That's good. That's already half the battle.
Yeah,
Right? No encoding errors. Um,
yeah.
great. So this data is already quite clean. I can imagine.
Uh-huh.
Now, okay. So here in Positron, here on the right, we see that the origins data frame is now low. We can immediately see this being listed here. And if we click on this icon, we can even immediately explore this data frame.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Okay, so four columns. None of them have missing values.
Yeah, and it looks like it kind of counted the format column for us with that little bar chart. Is that?
Oh, wow. We don't have to do anything. I mean, of course, the next step would be to use uh, an assistant, right? An AI
Mhm.
assistant. But let's stay away
Yeah,
from those for now.
Yeah.
maybe in a later session.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. And I was like assistants, I do find them really helpful for like where we looked up like what are the columns in API origins.
Hmm.
I do feel like that step assistants are really good at, like the scanning, the data descriptions, and but I definitely think it's like a future thing for sure. It's kind of nice to just get in there manually a little
Definitely.
bit.
And I have to say, I've been playing around a little bit with these AI assistants when it comes to doing data analysis, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm just so I'm really impressed with what they can do and how they can correct themselves and come up with interesting solutions. And because they produce code, right? You can
Yeah.
always see what they're doing, what they're you can always um, adjust that. It's not like that part is not hidden from you. So I like that. But
Yeah.
let's do it manually. You're
Yeah.
my AI assistant
Yeah.
at this moment.
Yeah, I think okay. So what I'd noticed, like this bar chart's really great. Like we see right out of the gate that Swagger, there's like 1,000 counts. We can also do some checks to figure out what that means, like 1,000. But the one thing I'd notice, like this bar chart's nice for like a quick glance.
Hmm.
I would call this like this bar chart's like in the spirit of like a spark line. So like
Hmm.
notice that you have to basically mouse over to get the labels.
Yeah.
It's basically like this bar chart is a compromise between a graph and like a table entry. So it's like really stripped down. You don't see the labels, but you can kind of mouse over. Like if anything interests you, you can kind of mouse over to get more details. I would say one thing that could be nice is using Plotnine to do the count, just to see the chart, like kind of a full chart with the labels,
All right. You know what?
which is pretty quick.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I mean, you're the co-pilot. So
Yeah. You want me to,
no, no,
so
no.
like if you,
Oh yeah, if
yeah,
you want to dictate, but I'm oh wait.
you got it, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe. So one thing now that I'm kind of I'm not sure. What I always do when I work with Plotnine is I do from Plotnine import star, right? And I know that's being frowned upon in the Python community, um, not so in the R community. Um, the reason I do that is because then you can use all those functions immediately.
Yeah.
The only thing is that when you do that, it will clutter up your global namespace. So you will see all those functions that Plotnine provides, you will see them on the right. So
Mm,
the
yeah.
downside is that if you do, say, what's often done is import Plotnine as P9,
Hmm.
then you have to use P9 dot all the time. And that's,
Yeah.
yeah. So
If we could we just try importing star and see what the side looks like? Because I think if the data is kind of separated, maybe it looks okay. At least the data's on top. I feel like,
that's right. Yeah, you can collapse this, right? So these are
yeah,
all the functions. Oh wait, it's not even, or maybe it's just too much.
yeah, I think it's great. Like
That's
you might be able to
interesting.
scroll down that. Is that,
No,
can
I'm
you
not.
scroll?
I'm not able to scroll.
I don't know. Um,
Oh no, wait. I think that's they're being right.
parts of plot.
They're being exposed as classes. But anyway, we can collapse this, so it's
Yeah,
out
great.
of our way. I
Yeah,
don't
we're
expect
cooking.
us to be defining a lot of functions anyway ourselves. So
Yeah.
this is
And I think
cool.
it looks okay, this kind of view. And I do
Yeah,
think it's nice 'cause plotting so fast that it's good to be able to kind of
yeah,
move quickly. Yeah, so
right.
if we do like
What's the
a
yeah? So this is of course
count,
complaining here because, like I said, this is frowned upon. But we got ourselves a data frame, right? And um,
yeah.
we want to recreate this bar chart. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Of the format
Yeah.
column. So
Yeah.
ggplot origins. First argument is the data frame itself. Then we'll do an aesthetics mapping, and that's the format column, right?
Yep.
So Geom bar.
Yeah, nice.
It's giving an awful lot of squiggly lines here. I'm not sure if I'm able. We should
I
be
think
able
it's
to.
okay. I think it's like these are developer. Oh, I see. You want to
Can we,
just turn them off.
yeah. Do you know how?
Uh,
Can you?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't. I'm not. I think we'd have to disable it in. Um, if you do like command comma, I think we could, and then search for
Is it rough or?
I bet it's like, yeah, or under your like,
Yeah, it's rough. Can I disable rough?
it might be your like
Oh wait, there we. What's this?
yeah.
Enable the
And
roughness.
sometimes it's under like,
There we go.
great, nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
wait.
nice. I think it helps too, because a lot of these rough things are more for developers. They're
Yeah.
like people building a package, or like where this is part of a data analysis.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's okay to have functions that you don't end up using,
Mm-hmm.
and then go back and kind of
Absolutely.
take them
We're,
out. So
I realize that our faces are kind of in the way of this
yeah,
this plot here. Um,
dang. We
can I either move this or
there you go.
wow. Wow.
Nailed it.
Nailed it
Yeah.
again. Okay.
Yeah, this is nice. So now things are just labeled a little bit, so this plot can breathe a little more than in the table. But yeah, we see this Swagger with
Yeah.
like 1,000 and Open API with 800. I do feel like the thing I'd be curious about is what is this account of? And I noticed a column that in the origins table, it looked like that was maybe the URL. So like,
Hmm.
it seems like maybe these are the API endpoints, or
Or yeah, we could have a look at one.
yeah, do we know how origin connects to the original data?
No, I think this really goes to the origin description of the actual API. So
Oh, I see.
what are the parameters that you can give? Yeah, so we should look at we should try to find one that we like. Is the for example the Star Wars API is that in here? It should be, right? If
Is it the it's like SW API? Is that
Swappy. um, but do we see it? No, I don't think so. Or
hmm.
um, what's a good one? What's I saw Transavia, a Dutch uh,
Yeah.
flight operator.
I'm noticed.
XKCD has an API.
Hmm. Yeah, that could be
You want to?
check out.
Can I
Uh,
copy? Go to my browser, paste in. Ooh, so this is a YAML file, and I guess the format is OpenAPI,
mhm.
and I've never looked at any of this. I mean, this is brand new to me, um,
Yeah.
but
So
I
I'm just looking
guess
at. No, go for it.
yeah. No, I mean, I guess this API is probably not that big, um, right? Because this is all about the XKCD comics,
Mhm.
but we have to give it a comic ID, and then it returns things, I guess.
Yeah, interesting. So it could be, yeah, I guess the big question here is kind of like what might someone be interested in about API data?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something we could learn about APIs in general from this data? Or that is a good point. Like we could also pull out. So in this case, we're pulling out like some APIs to get kind of like a closer glimpse at
Yeah,
what this data is made up of,
I'm
which is really
just trying out
useful.
things. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good to do a little bit of a deep dive in order to get some sense of the data. I mean,
Yeah.
APIs are not, too complicated, but still.
Yeah, agree.
And we can't do this for every API, but might as well. So this is one endpoint right
Yeah.
here, and this is what it returns, some JSON, and that which
Yeah.
again links to a ping file. Um, yeah. Okay. So coming back to this, this is a specification of one API, the XKCD
Uh-huh.
one. This particular YAML format appears to be the Open API format, right? That's what
Yeah.
it says here as well. Open API. Open API seems to be quite popular, right? It's the second one after Swagger. We could also have a quick look at what a Swagger specification looks like.
Yeah.
Let's do Zoom.
Yeah,
uh,
nice. Yeah, this is nice that you can kind of like pull up APIs and like peek at some of this different stuff. Yeah, cool.
yeah, I think. I mean, if the text is too small, just let me know, right? Um,
Let's see.
yeah, it appears that Zoom has a couple of API endpoints.
Yeah.
We won't be able to do anything. This most definitely needs some authentication, but still. So this is not YAML. This again is JSON,
Yeah,
and
cool.
I guess there is some way to dive even deeper into these specific endpoints, right?
Huh.
Manage your messages. I don't know if you're able. See, just works. Pretty print this. See, this is
Is it a browser?
a somewhat more involved API endpoint as part of the Zoom API.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Um, I wonder, I'm curious, like, what's the relationship between API info and API origins? Like, what all we have in this
All right.
data? Um,
Yeah, so we're
like
currently
some,
looking. You want me to
yeah, maybe we
info?
could crack. And it feels like maybe, well, I'd be curious the number of rows almost just to start. So they have pretty similar numbers of rows, which makes me wonder if it's like,
There could be duplicates in here in origins. That was also one of the questions we saw on the in the README. It might be that a single API has specifications in multiple formats.
right,
You
right.
want to
So
check that? You want to check if that's true?
yeah, yeah, let's take a crack at that.
All right. So
Uh,
that's origins. Um, I'll
maybe,
group
uh
I'll group by name,
yeah,
concatenate the formats into a list, and then check which lists have more than one item.
yeah, cool.
There's yeah, that sounds about right. Group by name, uh, aggregate the format. Let's check here, right? So here in the bottom, we can see the first 5 and the last 5 rows. Now I'll filter this. Filter pl.call format list.len greater than 1. Yes,
Nice.
there are indeed, and this so there are 7 rows more in origins than in info, and this is the reason. There are 7 APIs that have multiple formats.
Yeah, interesting. Is there, I can't remember, does Polars have like does it have some kind of method to mark duplicates? Is that right?
To mark them. So
Or like it has like a duplicated method. Is that right?
Oh.
Like on the expression or the.
You know what?
I can't quite remember.
Let's look it up. Is duplicated. Oh, it's a method of the data frame, of course. Is duplicated. Yeah. So that works too. Let's try that. If we.
Yeah, nice.
So origins is duplicated. Right. This is but this gives you back a single series.
You might need to do it on the 2, just the 2 rows basically. Does like, we want to know if name and format are duplicated. Is that right?
Basically? Yeah, I guess just name.
Yeah.
Is that possible? So can we do this? So let's add a new column. pl.call. So name is duplicated.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, nice.
Wait. Oh, wait. And so now name, of course, this should be is duplicated.
Right.
Yeah. So now we have a new column that indicates whether it's duplicated. And now we could say, okay, I only want the is duplicated ones, and this gives us back 14 rows, right? Yeah, because now we haven't concatenated the format.
Yeah, and this is kind of nice because then you can kind of see some of the other columns, like version or URL. So like bbc.com, they have like this NA format and open API, and it looks like they go to kind of different URLs. It could just be, it was like, I don't know if this is like a quirk, like it's just kind of misentered because
maybe
NA goes to what seems like a BBC.
Yeah, maybe they have their own format, or maybe it's just some missing data.
Yeah.
But
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so those were 2 different ways of figuring out which rows are duplicated. So we don't really want to use this data frame method. It's much better to use the method on the column, right, on the series.
And it seems like, my guess is because this duplicate table has 14 rows, and there's a 7-row difference between info and origins, that it's
makes
like
sense. Yeah.
If there are 2 of each kind in this duplicate table, maybe it's like there are 7 sites that were duplicated.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. Right here you can see everything.
Yeah.
All of them have 2 formats, which is a coincidence, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's like they migrated formats or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know. An API wizard might know, but
Yeah,
we'll have to
that's
wait
not
for John
us.
Harmon's book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so okay,
Cool.
so what's next, right? We've had a brief look at 2 of the 5 CSV files.
Hmm.
Why don't I load in the other 3, and you can have a quick look
Yeah,
at.
I'll
Yeah,
take a little glance.
yeah. I'll
Uh,
exactly. So we have here. Well, I don't think that logos is all that interesting. Categories is interesting.
yeah. There is
And there is
licenses, seems pretty juicy.
licenses. I don't. In which file is that?
I think it's an API info.
Okay, yeah, we have that.
Yeah, cool. And
PNG. No, I don't want PNG. APIs guru APIs.csv. That's right. Okay, so the logos, I guess we can also just double click on this file right here and then inspect it. We don't have to load it in as a Polars data frame at first. Logos.
yeah.
Oh, now I'm actually curious. What does the XKCD logo look like?
Yeah, let's take a peek.
Static, terrible, small logo. Okay, that's promising.
Yeah, I love
No,
that.
wait. Where did it go? Copy. Browser. Hey,
Uh,
what's going on?
oh no. Is it? I don't even know where to start, you know.
That's
Um,
odd. Um,
you could uh I mean, I guess one very data way could be filtering XKCD out, printing it in the console and copying it there. Maybe that's a nice
all right. All right. Let's do this.
do it the
So,
hard way.
which is part of logos, which I don't have yet.
Mm,
Logos, API, logos. So, logos, filter, pl.call name,
mhm.
uh,
Yeah, nice.
contains xkcd, right? So the contains method is part of the str namespace, as they say.
Nice.
Here we
That's
go. And
and
there's
I will say I love contains. I actually feel like a lot of times I see early data scientists doing a lot of equals equals, like is exactly this name. But I do feel like in data analysis, contains is nice. You just shoot it and you see if what you were looking for comes back.
it's yeah,
You know?
yeah. There are trade-offs in this too. I mean, I wasn't expecting any other API to have the characters xkcd in them.
Yeah. Or at least for exploring, it's nice to just see if it gives you what you were looking for.
Here we go. This is
Yeah.
our. Whoa. What's going on here? Do you want Positron to open up the external website? Let's do it.
Very
Yes.
cool. Yeah, nice.
That's a terribly small logo.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now we know that the logo's data frame is there, and I guess it's not really needed from that for now on.
I feel like there's a real sweet Great Tables opportunity here, uh,
Oh, yes.
which
Let's
is
do it. Let's do it. Oh,
like
you wanna explain what Great Tables
yeah.
is? Go for it.
So Great Tables is a tool to well, if you do polars.style, it'll show to style your data frame a little bit as a table for presentation. But what could be neat is if we look at the licenses a bit, Great
Oh,
tables can display logos in the table.
yes.
So it could be fun to maybe pull out a few examples of APIs with different licenses
Yep.
and then show their like logos, or even just a few APIs we like with
Yes.
logos. Maybe we can just try.
All right. So let's then first have a look at the data, right?
Yeah.
Before we just show grade tables straight off the bat. We'll have to build up the suspense a little bit. Where did you say license was?
I think it's in API info.
License
Yeah, there's
name,
license.
license URL, license. Let's have a look here at our this
Yeah, nice.
license
I wonder if there'll be
name.
a lot of NAs.
There are no missing, but
I think it's all string NA is the problem. We could I think Polars has the null value argument
that's
if you want to.
that's true. But
We could
so
live in
so
string.
so Apache to license. Oh, you receive some other ones.
Nice.
BSD, some Creative Commons. There's the Auckland Museum license. But there are also a lot of missing ones. But you're right. So, as in, I guess it's actually, you know what? I want to use the command line for this
Mhm.
real quick. Do I have XSV installed? No, I don't. Do I? No, I don't. Let's just go here. API info. Okay, this looks horrible. This is not a good way to
What are
do
you
this.
trying to do?
Well, I just want to verify, like, am I now looking at a value that's actually NA? Well, yeah, it
Yeah,
should be because it's not being reported as missing.
yeah. We have to
Okay.
pass null value to Polars, I think, the read CSV.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so Positron is it's pretty helpful here again. But because otherwise, if you didn't have this, it's like, okay, am I now you would have to know that Polars uses the word null,
Yeah.
NULL, and even then it could be that actual the string would be called null and that it's still not interpreted as a missing value. But I guess you're right. We should have, is it null values, which is,
Yeah.
and I guess we need the same for those here as well.
And this is an interesting Polars thing too, where
Oh,
null values, without null values, Polars tends to read a lot more things as strings because imagine you have a CSV of numbers like 1, 2, 3, NA.
mm-hmm.
Polars might interpret that as a varchar, like a string column, because it's like 1, 2, 3, NA looks like a column of strings basically if you're reading.
Yes. Yeah.
So
And you
oftentimes
know
when you
what? That's actually what's happening right now. I'm doing origins here, and
Mhm.
um, and let's have a look at origins. Origins probably has a lot of NA values. No, wait.
Yeah,
So
and it's
string
also
here is also a version. So version is currently being loaded as a string, but as I want to, when I said NA should be interpreted as a null value, right? Here are some null values over here. The
Mhm.
first, so there's probably some value in here which cannot be interpreted as a float. Yeah, see, you see
Mm,
V1 appears more towards the bottom. So to fix this, well, we can do several things, and Polars is quite helpful here, suggesting the options that we have. Um, The
Yeah.
laziest thing we can do is to infer, to set this value, infer schema length, which basically
Yeah.
indicates, okay, look at some more data before you try to infer the right data type. I think that's what
Yep.
we're going to do here.
Yeah. I often just set it to none for data like this. And I think that
Is it none or should it be -1? No, none also works. Yeah.
I haven't, it's a good question though. I've never, from the polars documentation, I haven't figured it out, but I've kind of assumed that none does a full send and looks at the full data.
So read CSV, infer schema length. It can be none. And
Yeah, the docs aren't totally clear because it says they might. The full data may be scanned.
this is
So,
slow. Yeah, but we're not dealing with that much data. The full data may be scanned. Okay, that's interesting.
oh, infer schema false, I guess, is the.
Well, then you're not doing any
Oh,
inference. Then
oh, yeah. I see.
it's all text.
Yeah, so none is.
None is good. None is what we want. So
Nice.
because it's not that much data, right? It's about 2,500 lines. Yeah. Boom. Okay.
Nice.
Data is up to date. Can we still create a bar chart? Yes, we can. And now it actually prints nan over here, which is because under the hood there's some pandas being used by Plotnine.
Yeah.
This works, and now we also have a nice looking null over here. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Before it said NA, we can still look at the XKCD logo. Okay, but now we're back, and I believe that we were trying to have a look at the info,
Maybe
the license.
yeah, like the licenses.
Yeah.
Maybe we just pull some with license info. It seemed like there were a lot of NAs, so maybe even just pulling some, glancing at the ones with licenses might, even just knowing how many have licenses might be handy.
Yeah, I guess we can sort this.
Yeah, it seems great. It's the classic dilemma.
Ooh, that's interesting. It shows. So
yeah, that's tough. It's like a nulls first sort.
So info dot drop nulls. Boom. Info.
How does that work for a full data frame? Does it have to be a full null row?
No. It will drop a row as soon as any value has a null. So which is perhaps a little bit too eager. Drop nulls. We can also specify the columns here. I bet.
License name or
subset.
Yeah.
It was it license underscore name? It was. It is. Okay. Info not null. So now we have another data frame. 886 rows.
Nice.
Let's explore those. And I guess what would be nice here is also to, and maybe it is possible, maybe we're missing something. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Okay, this is advanced. For now, we have here our info data frame where all the rows do have a license. Well, all the APIs.
Yeah,
okay,
cool.
Okay, so there are also some variations over here, right? API, right? This should also say Apache 2.0 license.
Yeah, so I'm almost curious to scan the list of names, like the first name column, just to see who are some of the people that like show up. So lots of AWS, and for some reason a person named Mike is responsible for all the AWS.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Right. Load bearing. Who is Mike? He worked for Postman.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Yeah, whereas with Google, it's just Google. Google is responsible.
I love AWS though. They're like, you got to get in touch with Mike. You know, wait, you gotta pull up the Mike Ralphs and GitHub, not to just for 30 seconds.
All right.
I don't know how the contacts happened, but I love this is,
Does it
they're
say
like,
don't?
get in touch with Mike, reach out, you know. Uh,
It seems like he has
so
his ducks in order in a row
mhm.
when it comes to APIs because he seems pretty relaxed.
I
All
it
right,
looks like maybe
back to
involved
business.
with,
Back to business.
yeah, yeah.
Um. All right. So many
Yeah.
ideas. We can still create a grade tables table if we wanted to.
Uh-huh.
You wanted to have a look at some licenses as well. Um,
Yeah. So maybe pull out like, could we see who, which of these have a logo? Maybe is that's probably
I don't think that the
uh
logo of the license is in here, but
maybe join like inner join logos with this.
logos is related to the API. Not this is not the logo of the license. This is the logo. These are the logos of the APIs themselves.
Yeah, but I wonder if we join the name, inner join on name, if that will give us the things with logos and a license specified just for
Oh, you want in the grade tables that you have in mind, in the grade table
who
that
has.
you have in mind, you wanted to use the logo of the API.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
Like
right.
maybe a logo and a license column so we can kind of show a few like APIs with.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Let me just let before we dive into that. Let's first do a little bit of an outline. Okay, what is it that we want to accomplish? So I think that
Mhm.
creating a grade table would be a wonderful outcome
Mhm.
of this analysis, right? So we're going to create a grade table. Exclamation mark.
Love it.
We need the we need a name. Do we want to use the name of the actual API or of the organization? Because it seems that the name column can sometimes be split on the column, right? Not everywhere.
Uh,
So,
I would almost need to know like
like,
the relationship between logo and
well,
info to, I think, say like I'd have to see
I
even
so
what their relationship is. I'm
well,
guessing name is probably shared across them is my.
yeah. Here, if you look at this long list of AWS APIs,
uh
right? Um, they all have the same logo.
uh
So do we want to work on the level of the organization? That's probably what I'm asking. We could
where's
even
is there an organization column?
no, but it's embedded in the name column. So we would
Hmm.
have to split the name column into two.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I'm into that.
Okay, so that's our first step. So to do split name column on column. Right. To do join with well in info
Uh-huh.
there's info has the info data frame has both the name and the URL, but you also want it to have the logo. So we need to split this name for both data frames. For
Well,
both.
can you join on names so we can just see because if we can see the shared logo and license, then we can always split the name
Okay.
from there. But we might just want to check to see if we have even any juice to work with, like,
Yeah.
because if there aren't a lot of like logos and licenses, we'll kind of have to switch gears, I think.
Yeah. So one thing we need to think about is when we're creating a grade table, there's only so
Mhm.
much we can show, right?
Yeah.
Which is very different from when you're creating a visualization. With a
Yeah.
visualization, we could easily add in 2,500 points, but with a grade table,
Uh-huh.
with a table, right? We need to come up with some sort of a top n
Yeah.
rows. So
Yeah.
we could, for example, have a look at how the number of APIs each organization has. So AWS
Hmm.
has a lot, Azure,
Hmm.
GitHub, Google, obviously, and those also
Yeah.
tend to have licenses. You know, they tend to have that figured out, and also logos.
Hmm.
Wanna how does that sound? So uh, get top N organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is going to be um, your job is to create the actual grade table.
Yeah.
Okay. Does this sound like a good plan?
Yeah. Yeah. It seems great.
All right. Mm-hmm. Now I guess what so logos 2529 and info also 2529. We cannot really assume that they're in the same order. Otherwise, we could do a concatenation, but I think it's safer to
Mhm.
do a join on the name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, let's do info dot join. We're going to join on logos. You see, I thought that we weren't going to use logos, and now it turns out we are going to use logos.
Yeah.
So
That's life, you know.
that is
Um,
live. We're going to join on name, and I
cool.
guess it doesn't really matter how. So how is by default an inner join, which
Yeah.
sounds good to me. This
Yeah. Looks
yes, okay. So this should
nice.
work. How about we're going to call
Name.
this DF for
Beautiful. Old time's
for
sake.
lack of for old time's sake. Um, maybe we
Yeah.
want to narrow down the columns that we're actually going to use, just to make
Uh-huh.
things a
Do
bit
do you
easier
mind
to
firing?
navigate.
Like if you fire it, just so we can glance at the number of rows, like just to kind of take in. Yeah, so like this is 25,
29
29 rows, and info was 25, 29. So we know that,
and logos as well.
so that
So
we got kind of the full, but that's surprising. Like I'd imagine some of the logo rows are NA. So maybe we still need to filter out.
we
I bet
yeah
the logos has some that don't have logos. If we could filter out, that'll get us to like how many.
URL has no missing values.
I, that
And I
seems.
bet you there are 519 organizations in here. That's what I'm
Okay.
thinking. There are
Gotcha.
519 unique URLs here.
Yeah. Okay, that's super helpful for me because in my head I was thinking like some of these wouldn't have logos, but your point is so helpful to hear that actually a lot of these have logos, but it's a smaller set of organizations, so we
Mm-hmm.
can cut it down
Yeah.
that way. Yeah, thanks. That's so helpful for kind of switching like I had a misconception about
Yeah.
the data. So
That's
I think it
yeah. No, it's
glances.
it's it's good to have all these to do these sanity checks. Um,
So now you're gonna split. Is
yeah.
that
Let's first trim down
Mhm.
some of the columns here because this is a bit much to look at. So we obviously want name. URL refers to the actual logo. Ooh, some
Cool.
different formats. So we may want to do a filter on that. I don't know whether grade tables handles SVG.
We could try it like on the first 10 rows and just see
Yeah, definitely.
if it works.
Oh, this is logos. This is not the df. This is df. So we want name. Um, license name, right? Because you wanted to show the license.
Yeah.
Background color might be nice too for styling purposes.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Okay, so we're going to select name. I already forgot. Name. License name. URL for the logo. Background color. Anything else?
I think that's great. Yeah. Cool.
Boom. Now this gets updated. I like that.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah, that's a cool feature.
If I just fits. Okay, so not all of them have a background color. We can set that to white if we wanted to. But now I guess one of the things that we need to do is split that name column. And
Yeah.
I also noticed with license name is that sometimes it says it has the word license.
Mm.
Oh wait, and some of them have nothing. Obviously, we need to filter for that. But so here, Apache 2.0 license, and others are missing that last word. So maybe we need to strip the word license. Maybe, but maybe it doesn't even come up if we look for the say 10 largest organizations, right, with the most
Yeah.
APIs.
They might also have, I guess a trick too is they might have different licenses for different
That is
points,
theoretically
but
possible, although that in practice I would think this is unlikely.
yeah.
But there
We
is a
could
way.
also, yeah,
Sorry.
we could also like hand pick a few just to kind of test the
Yeah.
process and try to get the kind of end thing.
Yeah, although, I guess if let me start here. Shall I make an attempt at splitting that name column?
Yeah.
pl.call name, right? In order to start an expression, it's a string method. So let's do split
Nice.
on here. What does this do? Gives us a list. And I guess we want the first
Yeah.
element of this list first.
That, oh, nice. Oh, I didn't realize that was a,
All right. This is
yeah,
almost too
cool.
easy. So this is the name. Well, I guess we want to call this org.
Uh-huh. Yeah, cool.
Now, I guess we want to do some grouping. Yeah? Some aggregation. Sounds right?
Yes. Yeah.
Group by org. And we we want to aggregate this, and if we're going to be very diligent about this, then we're going to check for duplicates. Ag.
Oh, like all rows.
Do they
like
all
row
have the same value?
Yeah.
Let's right, because
Or
oh, and I guess what we also want to do is get count equals pl dot len.
I do think this is kind of a duplicated. Is duplicated should, because that's like, since it's grouped by org, and then within org checking if everything. Like the.
Well, I guess what we could do is get a unique. And if we then still end up with, so this is obvious. So name obviously is not unique, right? Because these are all the different APIs within a single organization. Yeah.
Okay. Just to double check, you're right now with this group by, you're trying to see, are there any like row duplicates? Is that right? Like rows that are duplicated?
Well, there are definitely duplicated rows. Well, there are duplicated rows when an organization has multiple APIs. Yeah. And that's right. So that's what we're hoping, is that
they could have like a different URL, I guess.
a different URL, but what you also mentioned a moment ago is that they can have potentially different licenses. So Google may have a license with, or an API with one license, and then another API with another license, potentially.
Do you mind saying what you're trying to do with the group by, just recapping?
Well, it depends on what we want to put in our grade table, right? What do we want the rows to be?
Can you just help me understand the calculation, like the group by ag? What's that trying to do?
Okay, so let me first get rid of this line so that I can show you what we have here. This is our joined data frame with fewer columns. But what we did is we've created a new column called org, which contains only the part before the column. Yeah, we've called that the org, the organization. Yeah, so there are a couple of organizations that have more than one API. And we saw that for Amazon AWS.
Am I right in understanding what you're trying to do with it is you're trying to say for each org, you're trying to look at each unique kind of entry for each column. Is that right? So you want to see like, say for onepassword.com, you're trying to list out each URL, each unique.
So let's verify. Let's have a look. It always helps, right? Because this is still, it's not a lot of data, but it doesn't fit on your screen. So let's again do that exercise where we're just going to have a look at a single or just a couple of instances. Org or contains, let's use contains AWS. Yeah. Oh, that's a string. That's a string method. Yes. So these are all AWS APIs. 272, right? Well, let's then be a little bit more Amazon AWS.com. Yes. And let me save this to a separate variable so that we can inspect this here easily. Yeah, so these are all AWS APIs. They all belong to the same org.
Mm-hmm.
Now we could check how many different licenses they have, and they all have the same license
Mm-hmm.
in this particular case. Yeah. It is still
Yeah.
theoretically possible that some other organization uses multiple licenses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. But this group by, just to go back,
Yeah.
so this is kind of where you're trying to go. And the group by is just listing out the unique entries. So you can kind of see like, oh, there's only one thing listed. So it must be
The
they
same
only
for
use one.
all. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, nice. And your
So
PL dot all is kind of, you're doing it for each column. So you can kind of check if you wanted to check something else like
yeah.
background color. Yeah.
Well, now and I'm doing unique. So I'm calling. So these are all the columns except for the column on which we are grouping by,
Yep.
which is org. So all the other columns, for those, we're going to take all their unique, we're going to take all their values, keep the unique ones
Mm-hmm.
so that we don't have duplicated values in there. And then they're going to end up in a list.
Yeah.
And we're
Can
adding
you?
another column called count,
Yep.
which is what are the number of rows in this group, right? What are the number of
Yeah.
APIs that this organization has?
Yeah. So if you fire this, I'd be curious to take a look at this data frame with the, even with the filter, or yeah.
Even with the filter, all right? No, that's always useful. So this should be only one row.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And
Right?
just to recap, so pl.all.unique is a column wise. It does for each column, get the unique for that column. So it's not doing unique across the rows. It's just, it lets you glance at each row.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is done on a per column basis, which is
Mm-hmm.
not always what you want, but in this
Yeah.
case, yes.
Yeah. That's a cool move.
Thanks. So
Yeah.
again, just so to make sure that we're on the same page here, right? Thinking about the grade table that we want to produce, I was thinking we would have the top 10 or so organizations. And then we could list out, okay, how many APIs do they have? What license or licensees do they use? Their
Yeah.
logo, right?
Yeah.
It's
Seems
not,
great.
it's not rocket science, but we're going to make it look pretty, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, we got this. This is, I feel like this is really shaping up. We're really
We're
cooking.
nearly there. So let's do this. So we have here this aggregated. So let's call this orgs with a G. We don't need this filter anymore. I'm gonna move this over here with a comment for posterity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now what we have here, it's called orgs. Let's have a quick look here. These are all lists. And
Mm-hmm.
if we're going to be, so there are some that don't have a license name. I guess we would need to filter on those first.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Drop nulls. There. We just want only the rows that have data.
Doesn't, I feel like drop nulls drops like all null rows, right? Like
No, whenever there is, well, we can check.
any column with a, because license name here is null still. Is that, or
No, now we only have rows that have no missing values at all.
oh, cool. Yeah.
And we're down to 43. So what we
Yeah, we're
What
cooking.
we could do now is do a quick check here. What's this? Expected list got string for series name, background color. Why is this? It's a string list.
Yeah, I think.
Transparent.
I mean, I think we might just want to drop the like where license is null or something, because this will also drop if the background color is
Ooh,
null. Is that
you're
right?
right, and that's not very. That's you're right. This is a little bit too aggressive.
Yeah. It's good to know about drop nulls. I actually had no idea though that's how it
Um,
worked.
I wanted to check how many values. Let me see
Oh,
here.
there are some with yeah,
Right, so these are
nice.
the bigger ones.
Who's the winner? Who's got 281?
Google,
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
right? And just by glancing this, whoa, no wait. So there are different. So this one, there are so EPA,
Hmm.
.gov, and also the government of British Columbia and Canada. They use different licenses.
Mm,
See?
yeah. Yeah, it's a fun, honestly, I never do this move, the unique, like grab all columns, unique. It's kind of a cool move. It's like it
It's
produces a lot of like ragged entries
it's
basically, but it lets you kind of just swoop across, which is
yeah.
super intriguing.
I don't know. I'm just making this up on the fly. I
Yeah. No, I feel
um
like I'll definitely use it again.
so I guess for the actual do we I guess we're just interested in the logo, right? On in the no, and also in the license name. Do you want to
Yeah. Let's try, maybe we just try the top five and we try just the name and the like org and the logo just to see if we've got if Great Tables can do it.
yeah.
Does that?
But then you know what? Let's how about we just now I don't understand why this doesn't work. I'm taking the unique one.
Huh. Yeah. There you go.
Oh.
Wait. Huh. I don't know.
Um okay. That's interesting.
Could it be because org itself is a string? Or does pl.all doesn't, I guess. Because it's grouped by org, it'll ignore.
Yeah, but this returns a list. So I would expect. You see, there's still many
Yeah.
things I don't understand about polars. I would expect that because this returns a list, I would need to use the list
Yeah.
namespace. Wouldn't you say
And
so?
the really intriguing thing is that it says I got a list, I got a string for series with name, empty name, which is kind of hard to
Hmm.
parse, you know. But
Okay, so I'm kind of cheating here, but maybe for
yeah,
the interest of time, that's okay.
yeah,
What I'm
for
doing
sure.
is if there are multiple values, I'm just grabbing the first one.
Yeah,
You would say that for this first iteration, that's okay.
yeah.
And then,
I mean, I think for great tables, we could just try like the first five orgs and a logo and then just kind of iterate.
yeah. So now you wanted to get the top one. So let's sort on count.
Nice.
Um,
Descending.
descending equals true.
Cool.
Head 10.
Incredible.
So we got our license name.
This is it.
Yeah, we shouldn't
table
be.
time.
Oh, background color is not saying a lot here. So we might as well make that white for all logos. But I guess now, ooh, what's this?
Yeah, we might need to do a couple, but maybe we just try to fire the great table and see what comes out, because we should see the problems when we try to create the table. So we should be able to just.
Yeah. Okay. So now it's your turn. So we have the orgs data frame.
Nice.
How do we turn this into a great looking table?
So if we do orgs.style, we might need to install great tables, but let's just run it and see what.
I installed all the optional dependencies of polars as well.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay, so this is a great table.
Yes.
Which is formatted. And then if we do dot format fmt dot underscore image, and then the name of the column we want to try, so URL. I don't know what's going to happen.
I'm just running this. Boom.
I can't even believe it. I can't believe that I didn't have the faith in great tables. This is more, I think this is like a feather in the cap of Rich Ian, the other maintainer of great tables, who every day astounds me that this just ended up working. So
it just works.
This is no credit to me.
You definitely deserve credit here. But the data, on the other hand, is missing some. There are two URLs that are not working here. GitHub. So we could filter those out. We could say
yeah. I do think maybe in the interest of time we just punt them.
Yeah. So I would say before we do it sort over here, we're going to filter pl.call URL. It contains any.
Oh, nice.
Wait. Filter rows retaining those that match the given predicate expressions. Does that mean this can just take a
list?
A list?
I don't know.
Oh, I should turn it into a list, I guess. JPEG. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll just figure it out.
Did it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, maybe it.
Ooh, and GitHub. Wait, so I should do this before I do the group by. Although then
I would just put it even at the. You could even do it when you're generating the great table, which is kind of to say like we need to maybe go back and clean up, but we're kind of just dropping for now.
Yeah, but I need to see this works because I'm doing this before the grouping. Because the group by only take, or I would need to apply this filter on the list level inside the aggregation here. That's the neatest.
Yeah. And then this seems fine. Just in this,
this looks nice. But I guess we could apply a little bit more styling to this great table. Let it shine.
So some nice things we could do. Do we want to take name out of the table?
Yeah.
Nice.
Tell me.
So I think we'll need to do it before style. So it's kind of like we'll put all the polar stuff before. Let's take, or we could drop.
Yeah,
you could do calls hide. Sorry. Yep. You're schooling me on great tables.
Hey man, I'm
Uh,
just making this up. What I like that there's this separation of actual data and how it's being represented. Right?
yeah,
What you sometimes see people do is that they change the actual data in order to make it look right. For example, add the percentage sign to a
mm,
number, but then all of a sudden it's a
right.
string and you cannot do any other calculations with it anymore. So
Yeah, it's a good point too, because I forgot that grade tables, one of the big advantages of this is you can use a column for like calculation or, yeah, your point, like formatting or styling. Like you could set a background color and then you could hide the background color column
yes,
so that it's used to style, but then the data doesn't, it's used to style like another column and then you hide it basically.
yeah. Oh wait, this should then.
I think it's a list.
Okay, I'm gonna file an issue for
Uh-huh.
that.
I mean, that's legit. Yeah.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah.
I guess. Do we want to have the logo in front of the organization, but then not have the uh,
Yeah.
header name URL?
Uh,
How would you do
yeah.
that?
So I would move the calls move URL. I think that that actually will just move it to the front because it's default 0 or after 0, maybe.
Missing. Oh, after, and after should be.
I think there's a calls move to start, maybe
Ah,
is the method.
you're right. It says so in the help.
Sorry.
Calls move to start.
Yeah, nice. Now we're cooking. And then we could try applying the background color, I don't know, to the uh you could do like tab style if you want to try applying the background color. Um
Well, yeah, the background color was either white or missing.
yeah.
So
Yeah, okay, I see. So less critical.
could we
Sorry,
add
I
a
have to
bar
close it.
chart? Could we do a bar chart instead of the
Oh
count?
yeah. Yeah, format nanoplot, I think.
You know all the methods.
I gotta
FMT.
close the door. I have a cat that blasted a door open. I'll be so fast.
That's life.
Yeah. Here I am. Um, yeah, I think format nanoplot should. I have to admit I'm not super familiar with.
Yes, you are.
It's incredible.
I
And
like
I
it.
think you could make it a I think you can make it a bar if you want. I
Is this
think
really helpful, or I I I, I remember there's also the possibility to still show the numbers, but then have a gradient background. Like the
yeah,
higher the number, the darker the background color.
data color, data underscore color, I
There you
think.
go. So let
This
me.
is this is so helpful for me because I actually
Well,
having to recall the things is
is it FMT? What's it?
I think it's data underscore color. It's got a special name.
Hmm. Data color count.
Yeah.
So I.
And I think it'll try to do it automatically for you.
Oh yeah.
A rough palette.
I'm not so happy with this palette.
Uh
Is that
we might have to pull up the data color docs. I'm a little rusty on
here?
my
Um,
data. Well, I feel so alive. All right. Uh let's see.
Next time you're driving.
Oh, it's got all these palettes. Wow. So
What's that?
let's find a
Uh,
sequential palette. I'm in the data color docs. Maybe
just works.
great.
But
You could do try greens. What happens if you put greens in?
I'm guessing everything. will be
Is
pink.
green?
Greens. Greens?
Yeah, I think
It
so.
doesn't exist.
Oh, maybe uppercase greens. Like the G is, sorry.
The G is silent. No.
Yeah, that's right. The reens.
Oh yeah, that's nice. That's subtle. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, to have a single color, but then the opacity
Yeah.
changes. Yeah, so two outliers clearly, AWS and Google, two big
Yeah, this is
ones.
great. Wow.
What if we get rid of those? Actually, Are you? What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm not too.
It's kind of
Uh,
nice you can see the extreme,
they are so extreme.
but
Count. So it has to be less than 30.
yeah. Oh, what does it
Oh,
mean?
PL. It should be PL.col. Sorry,
Oh,
wrong
yeah.
method.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
nicer. Oh yeah.
This is great.
Yeah. Um, wait. Okay, so one final thing that I think we can improve on this table is the column names. Now they're the
Yeah.
actual data, the column names in the data frame. I think we can yeah, make it a little bit nicer.
Yes. So we'll do dot calls label.
Let's do that up here after here. Calls label. Is this a dictionary?
Mm,
Each
yes.
argument has
It
the.
can be, or it can just be keyword arguments, I think.
Oh, all right. And
Yeah.
I guess then so it becomes org is organization, for example. Okay,
Nice.
yeah, and then license name is license, and count is, I don't know, number of
Yeah,
APIs. Can we hide URL? Can we say URL equals none?
uh maybe blank empty string.
That works too.
Nice.
Or can you set the URL column to this, what do you call it, index?
The stub,
Stub.
is that tab? If if you do tabs stub, I think. Oh, I'm honestly so scared. Every time you do something, I worry Great Tables will explode. So this is also
It is,
I'm
yeah,
really
but it's
uh
okay. This is a safe space. And so far, both you and Great Tables have demonstrated that you're up for it.
yeah.
Up to it, I should say. You're up for it
Yeah.
and you're up to it. Um,
Right.
hey, man,
Yo,
I
thanks for
feel
this.
that we have, also looking at the time, I mean, we could go on forever,
Yeah.
you and I, but I'm pretty happy.
This yeah, thanks for really pulling us through. I feel like it's crazy. We got the table out in the last, I feel like 10, 20 minutes,
We would have to
but we
check the
really
recording. Yeah.
sweated it out, everything up to that. Uh, this is great.
Yeah. Let me just, you know what we'll do is, we'll put this online. We'll put the link to this code in the description. And I don't know. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah. Yeah, this was
Who
so
knows?
nice.
Maybe we'll do this more often. We'll
I
see.
love that. Now that we've got a great table cooking, I'm like, I'll do anything, So,
I'm
uh,
I'm we did this. Yeah, we'll clean this up a little bit, not too much, but and
I'm
there's
gonna print it
still
out.
a lot of
Great.
things to do. I haven't even looked at what others have done with this data. I didn't want to be
Yeah,
biased.
what other greater tables they might
Oh yeah,
have.
or visualizations or I don't know.
Yeah,
Some
yeah, yeah.
some machine learning classifiers. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot you can do with all these data sets that PydyTuesday
Yeah, this is
offers.
neat. And I do feel like we went through a lot of like classic data exploration topics, like even like little uh bumps you hit, like the null values,
Yep.
the infer schema. These are such classic things. So I think it was helpful to have to kind of
Yeah,
work.
and just looking up documentation.
Yeah.
That's all part of it. And we were also surprised. I was a couple of times by what Positron
Yeah.
offers.
I mean, we we were looking at tables like in the table viewer nonstop, I feel like. Actually, table viewer was like a load bearing
Yep.
piece. So that was
Yep.
cool to see everything kind of there. But
Yeah.
yeah, that,
Hey, this was a lot of fun. I hope others will find this helpful as well. But in any case, it was good chatting with you, good doing data analysis with you, and I'll see you next time.
yeah, thanks. This was a real treat. So thanks for having me, and
Same. Oh, well,
excited for the
likewise.
next Piety Tuesday.
Me too. All right.
Yeah.
Take care,
All right,
Michael.
thanks. See ya.
See ya.